Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you're having a good day. Today we're starting off standing in front of this wonderful edifice that we constructed in the last episode. Hope you guys are excited for some more building like I am. I need to patch this fence, it's not quite connecting to the wall here. But yes, today we're going to work on a couple of other things around here to prepare for our city build. We're going to do a big planning episode, I think, to round out the week. But today, are you guys ready to play with some TNT? Because I am. We're going to actually open out the rest of this ravine and talk a little bit about working with terrain. Because when it comes to starting a city build, a lot of people tend to flatten out the terrain around an area because they feel like cities should be built on an entirely flat surface. And a lot of the time, that approach can work pretty well, especially if you go back in and add in terrain features afterwards. But at least where I'm from, cities aren't built on flat surfaces. Like, I live in a seaside town where basically the entire landscape slopes down towards the sea, so I kind of like leaving in the natural terrain of Minecraft where I can. I'll do a bunch of terraforming here and there, but I won't flatten out an area completely, and I think the main reason for that is because it lends itself to more interesting houses. For example, here, I'm probably going to scoop out the area behind this house and use that as a kind of sub-basement level, so we're going to have a bunch of house sort of down below the surface here, below where the current sort of surface level of grass is here. Likewise, I want to keep this feature of the landscape here, this kind of natural dirt wall. We're going to reinforce that with some stone. We're going to maybe have it kind of like sloshing over the side a little bit, like dripping down. The dirt is going to kind of overhang some of the wall a little bit in places, but around here, I feel like this ravine just needs to shine a little bit. Look how far this ravine extends that way and that way. It's got so much more of it that you just can't see because it's below the surface right now. So we're actually going to use TNT, because I like living dangerously, I guess, to explode the top surface of the terrain here and allow this ravine to come through. And we're also probably going to use TNT to blow out some more of the walls around here so that it widens a little bit, because I think this thing could look really impressive if we give it a little bit more space. Now, TNT will have a bit of a chain reaction effect if it's within a certain radius of another TNT block exploding. So these two are really not going to connect because they're too far away. We need to pop one in here, like so. But usually within about 2 or 3 blocks, the explosion of a TNT will light the next TNT, and you get a really nice chain reaction. So let me light this one and see how we get on. Is that actually lighting the TNT? I don't know if it is, and I'm a little bit scared to go over there now. Normally I do this with redstone, so yeah, using flint and steel is not always the best idea. I do also have fire spread turned off on this world, by the way, and let me show you quickly how to do that, because while this is technically a cheat because we're using commands, it is kind of nice to be able to toggle fire spread, and a lot of servers that I know on do this in the config files and turn fire spread off. That's mainly because it's not great when lightning strikes your house and it sets fire to things and then half of your house burns down, or like if you want to build a fireplace with a fire blazing in the grate and then, you know, you've got wood around and it burns. Like the actual effective area in which wooden blocks can catch fire around a fire block is rather large. Like above you, it's like about 7 blocks, and it's several blocks to either side as well. So to turn off fire spread, you press / to open the command prompt, and it starts with a / like so. You type game rule do fire tick like that with the capital F and capital T. That is actually important. And then you say false. If you hit enter, it will say game rule do fire tick is now set to false, and that's turned fire spread off in the world. It was already off, but it's just kind of repeated the same command. If you want to toggle that again, just set it to true like so, and then fire will start to spread again. But I'm not going to do that right now. Not that I've set a bunch of fires everywhere, but it's just, you know, for the safety's sake, so I don't forget about that later. Now light this TNT. There we go, okay. Now let's run away from that before the chain reaction happens. There we go. Okay, so we got 2 of those, and we started to open this out a little bit. I don't need the dirt right now, which is probably why I'm going to blow up some of this area instead of letting it all... Oh, hi! There are skeletons here. Hello. Well, you're only wearing trousers. Get down there. But yeah, I don't need a whole lot of this dirt over here, which is why I'm content to let the TNT destroy a bunch of it instead of collecting up all the blocks, but we may as well collect bits and pieces here and there. We've got tons of it back at the house, but who knows when we will need a little bit more. Now, as I mentioned before, TNT is not a hugely destructive block, so I'm not going to leave massive craters in the landscape. It's going to do more to affect the dirt than it is the stone, because dirt has a lower blast resistance, but I do probably want to start mining some of this stuff out by hand around here instead of relying on explosives to do the work. I also only have 4 blocks of TNT left, and making it is kind of expensive right now because it requires 5 gunpowder and 4 sand per block, or possibly the other way around. I forget which way around it is, but you need 5 of something and 4 of something else. I don't know why the TNT is having such trouble lighting as well. It seems very strange to me, but there you go. We managed to blow up a little bit more of that, and we can start to sculpt the rest of this ravine from the top down, which is going to be a little bit dicey, but hopefully we don't get shot into the ravine by some skeletons. We can start to open out this thing to its full length, which is really far that way, apparently. So a TNT blast will be pretty good at dealing with the topsoil and exposing the stone around here, but when it comes to removing the stone, I'm probably just going to set up my beacon over here, having moved it out of the mining area. I mined out pretty much all of the stone around the beacon and needed to move some stuff around. So I thought I'll bring it back here and I'll use it to work on the ravine walls a little bit. Just kind of carve this area out and taper the ravine downwards instead of having the walls be completely straight. Kind of have this thing fairly open at the top and then have it sort of, you know, narrow as it goes further down so that we end up with more of like a V shape kind of thing is what I'm going for anyway. So let's set up the beacon over here, throw some haste 2 on that, and let's get to work down here. We can probably get a lot of this cleared out. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Part of the reason I want to widen this out as well is because we're going to be adding a bunch of blocks around the top here to kind of make it look like more of a volcanic geological feature, and that's going to lead to a lot of the blocks being placed kind of around the edges, and that would narrow the whole look of this thing, so it would be like only a few blocks wide. So I want to widen it out first so that I don't completely taper this thing off to nothing. Yeah, this ravine is huge. It goes all the way back here. It was about a quarter of it seems to have been exposed to the sky in the first place, and the rest has just had all of this dirt and stone generated on top of it in a very thin layer. So it would have been a bit of a shock to dig down here and just drop straight into a ravine, which is one of the many reasons that you should never dig down in this game. And when I say that, I obviously mean like you should never dig the block that you're standing directly on top of. Obviously, you have to dig down because you need to get resources. This is Minecraft, but you know what I mean. You should never do this and dig straight down from the block that you're standing on. One other thing I didn't really mention about Haste 2 mining in the Beacon episode is that it really eats through your hunger quite quickly because it still counts every swing of the pickaxe that you take, and as a result, you can end up getting very hungry and burning through your supply of food quite fast. So I'm actually going to head over here and get a little bit more beef. Let's see if we have any in the cupboard. Nope, looks like we don't. Okay, time to go and kill some cows. There we go. Still a few blocks floating around here and there, but we've managed to expose basically all of this ravine now. And let's go up to the air to take a quick look at this because it's really quite large now. As far as the landscape goes, that's a pretty sizable chunk of it, and I've started to taper away the sides a little bit. I don't want to do too much of that right now because I don't want it to eat into the area that we're going to build houses and city buildings and stuff too much, but this is definitely open to the start of what I want to do here. Now, I'm going to go and grab a bunch of the grey terracotta and the stuff that we've been using to surround the... It's actually cyan terracotta, the stuff we've been using to surround the lava kind of things, because I want to... Yeah, I want to do a little bit more work with that. Let's grab some of the grey concrete and stuff as well. I need to dump all this dirt out somewhere, and I've got so much of it in this chest now. Might actually take some of it back to the storage system while I think about it, and probably grab some more stuff for fireworks while I'm there. But what I want to do is start surrounding the mouth of this ravine with blocks like this. Cyan terracotta, grey and black concrete powder, stuff that's going to make this look really kind of unnatural for the landscape, and that's really going to help it stand out a lot. And there are other blocks that I want to incorporate into this, but I don't have a huge amount of them right now. Like obsidian would be a prime example of that. Obsidian and lava just look like they go together. There's a great contrast between the two of them, and obviously you have the fact that obsidian is made from lava in the first place. Unfortunately, I don't have a huge amount of that right now, and I'm saving it to use for stuff like nether portals. The best source of obsidian, I think, is probably going to be to go to the end and mine out the obsidian pillars that the dragon's crystals reside on. So that's going to take a little bit of time, and might even be something that would be helped by taking the haste beacon over there. So that's going to be a whole production. I don't want to mess with that too much right now. We might also add in streaks of material like granite and magma blocks and stuff like that. Stuff that's going to stand out against all this grayscale stuff and really pop. But the way it's going to work, I sort of want it to occur in cracks and veins up the ravine wall. So let's hop down here and do something kind of similar to what we did with the path on the surface the other day, but we'll make a kind of crack in the wall here, and we're actually going to bury this one block back. The reason we can do it with this and not the path is because this is really going to stand out against the wall once we've moved in some of these other blocks, and being looked at from like up on the side of the ravine there, it's going to be a little bit more easy to spot because it's going to be kind of a vertical thing instead of a horizontal thing. So you're really going to notice this once it's there. Of course, one of the limitations we're working with in terms of these materials is that concrete powder is affected by gravity. And there are a couple of ways around that. Of course, you can convert it into regular concrete just by pouring some water on it. And that's a nice, easy fix. The other thing you could do if you want the texture of this and you want it to be suspended a little bit further up is to just put a nice simple block beneath it. So for example, if we put some cyan terracotta about there, we can always balance some concrete powder on top of that. There are a bunch of other things you can place underneath, like blocks that are affected by gravity, that will help them stay there. Torches, for example. If you place it on the block directly above where you've placed the torch, it won't fall. Obviously, if you put it any further up, it will fall, and then it'll be broken because it's trying to occupy the same space as the torch. But yeah, there are tons of different things you can do. You can add string underneath it, or you could use something that looks a little bit more solid, like a trapdoor or a slab of a different material. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. I'm adding a little bit of cobblestone around here as well, because cobblestone is a block that we can make stairs and slabs out of. The unfortunate thing about using things like concrete powder and terracotta is that they don't have stair and slab variants, which means you're pretty limited in the amount of detail that you can put in. It's limited to basically being the size of a block. With cobblestone, you don't have that limitation because there are different variants of it available, including stairs and walls. So you can do a whole lot more if you add in the occasional block here and there that's got slabs or stairs available to it. So I'm going to tinker with this a little bit more off camera, and I'm probably going to head to the nether and get some more magma blocks because I've only got 18 of them left. So we can add a few more veins of magma to the walls. We'll probably add some that kind of come up onto the surface here. And then I think, yeah, we'll start working on this wall. It feels fairly natural that this wall there's going to be a wall here to kind of hold back the terrain, just because this area feels very unstable. So having fortifications around here seems like the natural thing to do. But I think this is going to really come together. I think with a few extra blocks in the sides here, it's really going to feel like a feature. And we're going to fill the bottom of it eventually, probably not in this episode, but eventually, with stuff like, you know, lava and a bit more magma, and even some colored glass to kind of give the impression that fire is rising up from the bottom of here. I think it's going to look really great once it's done. Hey folks, welcome back. So this is the progress I've made so far. Ignore this bit over here, but I think this is coming together pretty well. It's very, very blocky right now. There's a lot of kind of outcroppings and stuff like that, and I think a lot of that is actually going to sort of disappear once we start putting in the other details. So yeah, there's some areas of stone down here, and some sections I've actually taken the terracotta all the way to the bottom of the ravine, but I don't think we'll actually need that much once we fill this in, because we're going to be doing a kind of effect with layers of glass, making it look like there's a fog at the bottom of here, which you may have seen in some other people's videos. If not, then I'll probably be able to show it off for you at some point in the next few episodes of this series, because it's a really neat effect, and it's one that you can use to great effect in your own survival worlds. But right now, I think I'm about done with the amount of effort I want to put in this for today. Doing this in survival takes a very long time, especially if you want to cover all the areas where stone might be exposed. You can see down there I've already missed a couple of them that I wanted to do in this wall over here. I've also decided to take the ravine out in a different direction this way. So I lay down a little bit of TNT at first, but then I thought, you know what, I'll just carve a bit of that with the pickaxe, seeing as I have the haste beacon right here. And this area here is actually going to branch off from the main ravine. If we look at this from the air, you'll get a decent idea of what the whole thing is going to look like. Yes, so it's going to look like that. And the idea with this really is that we're going to surround it with other things and have, like I said, have the bottom kind of partly concealed. It's going to look really good from the air, and then when you get up close to this, there's going to be machinery and stuff around, and little kind of like collections of things around the outside that are going to make it, like, they're going to distract you a little bit from the fact that this is very blocky looking when you get up close to it. Much like the pattern in the wall here, this kind of textural pattern we've got over here. Like I said, it's kind of designed to be seen more at a distance. Although I have to say, up close, I think it's looking pretty good as well. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I would love to hear some people's thoughts on this kind of style of stuff. So I think I'm probably going to move on to doing the wall section around here. And obviously the way this works, I've actually got a section here where the wall would be either broken down or perhaps the wall has been put up to prevent stuff like this from happening, but the magma has spilled out over the side here with a little bit more of those ashy kind of concrete blocks and stuff around the place. So I'm going to put all of these ravine blocks away, and I'm going to switch over to grabbing some stone brick, which I've got plenty of in here, and some stone just like before. I think I'll probably put in some logs and stuff as well. So it's going to be kind of similar to the way we've constructed the industrial area over here. It's going to be a sort of retaining wall with large logs put in here as kind of fence posts to make sure that nothing gets through, to kind of reinforce it a little bit. And what we're doing here, as before, is working with the terrain. I'm following the line of this little hill around, and I'm making sure that we kind of follow that curve. And that's a great way of sort of planning out city builds at first, is just allowing the terrain to do the work for you a little bit. It means less time spent moving stuff around. It means less time spent doing giant things like this, and more time just being able to build the stuff you want to build. So I'll put a retaining wall in here, and I'm going to fill in these sections here with dirt as well, just so it goes all the way up to where the boundary of the wall hits. I'm actually letting more stone brick creep into this wall than I did with the retaining wall for over by the sugarcane farm, and that is meant to give the impression that this place is a little bit better put together. It's more organized, it's got more of a kind of city feel to it, and it's been slightly better constructed, which it would have to be considering that there's a giant fiery ravine on the opposite side of this wall. So yeah, I think I'm probably just going to put in little veins of stone here, but have the remainder of this kind of mostly stone brick. And yeah, that's not too bad. We'll probably add in a few cracked stone brick here and there when I can be bothered to smelt any, but right now I don't have a furnace set up over here just yet. This section over here is going to be, I think we'll probably move the wall sort of around the outside of this, and we'll fill this pond in. I don't really feel like keeping the pond. And you can kind of pick and choose where you choose to preserve the terrain and where you choose to change it a little bit. And in this point here, I think this hill is perhaps a little bit too shallow for this retaining wall idea that we've got going on. So we're going to shift this. But working with this kind of landscape, you want to push and pull the terrain around a little bit and try and put back down as many blocks as you take up. That's kind of the challenge of stuff like this. And there we go. Now the wall runs all the way through here, has a bit of a break in it here, and I've started to make some kind of more crumbling sections of the wall that maybe this has busted out of a wall that was formerly here. We could maybe put in a couple of loose logs there where maybe the boundary of the wall has been kind of pushed back, or maybe some of the logs are like put down here on their sides, kind of like they've fallen in the process of this tumbling out from where the wall used to be. That seems like a solid detail, I think. And then over here, the wall sort of continues up until it gets to this point. And this place has a really nice tall oak tree that I don't feel like taking down next to this kind of misshapen lake, which I feel like we could probably shape up a little bit differently. But I think this feels like a good location to have a city park or something like that. Maybe we could continue the wall around here to make it kind of enclosed and kind of keep the retaining wall feel of what we've got going on over here. But I already think this place is coming together. It's starting to get a little bit of structure to it, and we can take a quick look at it from the air. So you can kind of see naturally where the city is going to build up around this. There's going to be like a higher tier of buildings up here, and then you can kind of walk down. Maybe we'll have a staircase or two leading down from the wall into other parts of the city. And it'll all center around this, because if we actually fly up pretty high, if you take a look at this plains biome, oh, I thought I was getting into the air then. If we fly up super high so we can take a look at this from above, this ravine here, now we've exposed the entirety of it, is actually in the dead center of this plains biome. So the entire town can stretch to all of the boundaries of this plains biome, and I even have plans for a kind of old town section out here in the swamp that's a little bit more kind of flooded, and maybe some of the buildings have sunk into the swamp or something like that. But that can actually take up the entirety of this plains biome, and we'll have so much room to build our city here. Now, that's going to do it for this episode, folks. The sun is going down, so I'm going to get some sleep and continue working on the ravine off camera. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixlriffs. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.